and welcome to another episode of Reading Reddit with Amber. Today I have another batch of outrageous stories for you from r/Am I the Jerk. I've received some feedback that people don't want to hear Reddit's verdict, especially since I basically always agree. So for this episode, I'm going to just give you my take. Let me know in the comments if you like this version better or if you'd rather hear Reddit's verdict too. Also, shout out to the people who sent in some stories for today. Our first story today is, Am I the jerk for kicking my cousin off of my sister's wedding Zoom call? I'm a 27-year-old male. My older sister is a 30-year-old female, and her fiancé is a 31-year-old male. My sister and her fiancé were planning for over a year for their wedding to be this month. Obviously, they can't have the wedding as planned, but they still would like to get married, so they decided on a Zoom wedding where all of the family and friends would just call in to watch the officiant, my sister and her fiancé. My sister didn't want to be in charge of hosting the Zoom call because she thought it would stress her out, so she asked me to, and I gladly accepted. She and her fiancé decided to invite everyone they originally wanted to, and it was a very big list. When we were going over the list, my sister mentioned to me that she wanted everyone else to be muted for the majority of the wedding, as she was worried that others would talk over her and her fiancé and, quote, overshadow them on their big day, quote, that was already scaled down. However, her and her fiancé said that I should unmute everyone at one point so everyone could talk and have a nice time with each other. Fast forward to the day of the wedding, everyone was muted during the ceremony, which goes great, and so I then unmute everyone and ask to please raise a hand if they'd like to talk so it doesn't get confusing. My cousin, who's around my age, starts waving his can crazily, and he's with his longtime girlfriend, also a similar age I guess. He's a very gregarious guy, so I was not surprised. Then he says stuff like, my sister and her husband are such an inspiration. It's given me the courage to do this. Then he turns to his girlfriend and pulls out a box that is the size of an engagement ring box. I immediately saw this as him trying to steal the spotlight, something that he's done since we were kids. Example, he would secretly mess up my sister and I's drawings if the adults would praise ours, and I booted him off the call. Then I quickly announced that my cousin had technical difficulties and would not be joining again. Everyone else accepted this and went about talking, and my sister and her husband did too. The rest of the wedding went smoothly, except for the fact that my cousin kept texting me angrily, saying that he finally wanted to propose as a surprise with family all around, and I ruined it. My aunt and uncle texted me the same. Am I the jerk? I would say that OP is the hero in this story. I was lucky not to have anyone that inconsiderate at my Zoom wedding, but if my brother had shut down something like that, my husband and I would have given him a nice gift for keeping the peace. You don't propose at someone else's wedding. Our next story is, Am I the jerk for telling my wife's friend she is too old and ugly after she repeatedly asked my 19-year-old son to take off his shirt? He was getting uncomfortable. My family had a small get-together at my house. One of my wife's friends was over. She's unmarried, and I think she's about 45 to 47. We aren't too close to her since she lives pretty far away. She was over at our house, and she started complimenting my son. My son is 19. It starts off innocent, but as time goes on, it gets more and more crossing the line. When we were out on my deck, she starts telling my son to take his shirt off, quote, what's the point of going to the gym if no one will see it? My son is visibly uncomfortable and tries to shut her down. She repeatedly is asking and is getting more aggressive with it. I interject and I'm like, hey Kathy, I think you are a bit too old and ugly for my son. This got her upset really quickly, and she excused herself to leave the bathroom and starts crying. My wife goes to comfort her, and then later she leaves. At the end of it, my wife is super angry with me for saying that I should have said, hey Kathy, it looks like you had too much to drink or something else. I told my wife that Kathy, by the way this is not her real name, works a corporate job and she has had training on this and she knows better. And our son was uncomfortable. He is 18 plus, but he doesn't know how to deal with an adult, let alone someone saying that in our house. I told my wife flat out that if I was to invite a guy friend and he was to ask to see our daughter in a bikini, my wife would have called the police. She says it's different. I tell her that I was way kinder to Kathy than I would have been had a guy said something like that to our daughter. And I told my wife that Kathy needs to apologize to my son before she can ever come into our house again. Overall, I think I was fair. If Kathy had just said it once and I said that, I think I would be the jerk, but the fact that she kept repeating it, that's why I said it. And I wanted her to get the message that yes, I am upset, and that's why I included the ugly part. The wife's friend is 100% in the wrong here. As a general policy, it's probably best not to ask your friend's children to take their clothes off in the first place, but to keep going after the son is clearly uncomfortable is harassment. While the dad's post makes it clear that the son's discomfort is his top priority, and that is the important thing, I do think his quip misses the mark a little. Even if the woman had been young and conventionally attractive, if she was making the son feel uncomfortable, she should stop. Now, the dad did say this in the heat of the moment to someone who was harassing his child, so even if it wasn't the best possible response, I still think it's understandable. But there's kind of the stereotype that harassers and abusers are all old and unattractive, and I want to make it clear to you all that if someone is making you feel uncomfortable, you have every right to shut them down, even if most people would think they're attractive. So again, I understand the dad's behavior was something in the heat of the moment, and the important thing was getting the son out of the uncomfortable situation. So while he didn't choose the best phraseology and maybe focused on the wrong things, it was something that stopped the harassment in the moment, and that was kind of the key thing. But just as like a general word of advice to you all, if someone is making you feel uncomfortable, you have a right to tell them to stop, no matter what they look like. Our last story for the day is, am I the jerk for getting mad at my girlfriend for making me lie to my friends because she got her period? Throw away for obvious reasons. My girlfriend and I have been together for over 2 years. She has always been very neat, tidy, and very polished. She cares about her appearance, and I appreciate that. So the situation makes no sense to me. We were at a very fancy event with a few of my friends, social distancing rules, everyone wore masks, etc. My girlfriend was wearing a beautiful white dress, which I recently bought for her. The dress was very expensive. We were all having a good time. However, at one point, she excused herself to go to the bathroom, and then I didn't see her again until she sent me a text from the car asking if we could go home. Obviously, I'm slightly annoyed because I didn't want to leave so soon. When I reached the car and asked why she wanted to go home, she told me that she got her period unexpectedly. I asked why she didn't bring extra tampons or pads or use those tracking apps, and she tried to defend herself by saying that she did everything she could and that she had a period stain and didn't want to stay because of the stain. She asked me to lie to my friends and tell them that she was feeling unwell so that she could go home. She had a man's jacket, a mutual friend of ours, covering her legs in the nasty stain, and pleaded with me to take her home so she could shower and unwind. I took her home and lied to my friends. When she was getting out of the car, the stain was very noticeable, and it was very big and essentially ruined an expensive dress which I bought. She also made me purposefully lie because she wasn't prepared enough and made me miss an event with my friends. Needless to say, I was extremely ticked. She said I was not being considerate and went to go lie down because she had a headache. She wanted to lie down after she took a shower. She woke up, and I haven't spoken to her properly until she apologizes and gives back the friend's jacket. I don't think I'm a jerk, but when I told my friend, the same friend who gave her a jacket, he told me I was a jerk, and my girlfriend kind of agreed. Am I the jerk? Edit. I guess I'm the jerk. I logged out of this account about an hour after posting because the response was terrible, and then came back to a ton of responses calling me the jerk. After my girlfriend came home from returning the jacket, she apologized for ruining the dress, and I apologized for being a jerk and not understanding the whole period thing. She forgave me, then we went out for ice cream and rewatched her favorite movie. That's the end of the story. Okay, OP, you are so much 100% the jerk here. And this is why I believe that everyone, regardless of gender, should be given accurate information about periods. Because even for people with regular menstrual cycles, you can still have a period arrive earlier or later than usual. There is no app out there that can tell you with 100% certainty when your period is about to start, because apps can't predict the body's natural variations completely. It is fully possible not to realize that your period is on its way until it hits. Also, periods are oftentimes uncomfortable, So it probably wasn't even a lie to say she wasn't feeling well. And the headache after the shower, a lot of people do get headaches when they have their period, so that probably was legit too. But even if she never had symptoms during her period and asked you to say that she wasn't feeling well, it's a small lie that saves her from feeling embarrassed. OP is acting like she got her period despite him, but that's not how periods work. And he seems more concerned about the dress than about how uncomfortable she was feeling, and that doesn't bode well for the relationship. Those are all the stories I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving it a like or letting me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.